Live on purpose this time. I realized I did 2 live streams I didn't realize were public. That's fun. Yeah. Hello. Hello, hello. I was just live on Patreon, so I figured I'd go live here because I already accidentally went live on YouTube twice. Yes, it's real this time. Hello, everyone. What's what's everyone up to? I'm here to just do like any Hunger Games Q&A. We can have a good time about it. I've done this on TikTok, done it on Patreon, but never directly on YouTube, so we're having a time. Red Mike is here. Couldn't can't go without it. I feel like if I was just holding the mic, it would be sad. Hello from Australia. Hey Abby. Thank you. What book is my favorite and why? I'm curious what everyone else's favorite is. But my favorite Hunger Games book is Catching Fire, hands down. Feel like feel like that's a lot of people's favorites, but it's just so good. Is Peeta my bias? I mean, like in what aspect? Like, am I biased to Peeta? I really love him as a character, but like biased in terms of what? Um, you convinced your friend to be Team Peeta, doing God's work. um, Okay, my favorite books in order. Here's what everyone else's is. I think it's Catching Fire, then Hunger Games, and I think it's Sunrise on the Reaping. I need to read it again to really solidify that. And then it's Mockingjay, and then Ballad. How about you? Hello, everyone. Catching Fire, yes. Um, who's my favorite side character in the trilogy? That's hard. Okay, like what defines a side character? I feel like people are essential. Favorite side character. It's like Haymitch is a main character, I guess, but I feel like it's Haymitch. If he isn't a main character, then who else would it be? I don't know. Maybe like Rue or Boggs. Curious what everyone else's favorite side characters are. Do I want them to include a post Hunger Games scene in the latest movie? I think you mean like do the epilogue. Yeah, I want them to do an epilogue scene. Are you kidding me? If they don't do it, people are going to be really upset. So I feel like we have to make sure to bully Lionsgate into it. If they're having second thoughts, we need to bully the actors who maybe aren't available to get over there. Um, comments. Okay. Why do I think the movies ruin PETA so much? I mean, I feel like it comes down to, I don't know. I feel like when the movies came out, whatever, it was like 2013, 2012, whatever. I feel like Hollywood wasn't ready and maybe the world wasn't ready. They didn't think we were ready for that kind of um, like romantic lead. Like all the leads were kind of dark and brooding and like super tough, and PETA didn't quite fit that mold. So instead of like changing him to be, more of an Edward Cullen type, they just sort of put him in the background. I don't know. Also, I'm like, okay, if they wanted to make it less of a love story, it's just like it's kind of integral to like the character journey. I'm very curious if like to see the edits of the script because PETA was just in it so much less. Um, I don't know. I just feel like he wasn't in there enough to really tell his character arc. And anytime he's there, he's just kind of like being nice guy to Katniss until he's hijacked when like he has a whole he's part of the rebellion, pretty important, but he got shafted. Um Who's my least favorite character from the trilogy? I mean, it's like I as a character I don't like Coin. I think it's a well done character, but I don't like that character. Um I don't know, it's hard for me to be like least favorite characters. I feel like characters are pretty important, but in terms of just like not oh okay, no, least favorite character is Drusilla Sickle from Sunrise. She infuriated me. I was I wanted to crawl inside my book and tell her what's up. Um, who's my favorite Victor? I haven't really thought about that. Um, I'm bad at these favorites. Let's do other thing questions and favorites because I'm just like I'm not as linear about it. Um, what are your top three? Okay, I'm not doing the favorites. You'd love an Effie POV. Yeah, I think I mean just other I don't know, yeah, like capital people, their POV. I think an Avox POV would be really interesting. Um, who do I want to write the end credit song? Coldplay and Olivia Rodrigo. What was the Coldplay song? But yeah, I loved the "Can't Catch Me Now" song by Olivia. Um, honestly, the okay, the first ever album they made for the Hunger Games, like the companion album, not just the score. That is one of my favorite albums of all time. Like the just like all of it, like it's kind of folky. I mean, Safe and Sound is good on it, but like the Maroon 5 song randomly I'm obsessed with, the Come Away to the Water. I just love that album. I feel like there's like one or two songs I'll like from the other movies, but the Hunger Games, that first album is just I just love it. It like has the right emotional feeling to it. It's just so good. Um Why do I hold the bread? Because bread is essential theme to the Hunger Games. Panem means bread. Pita is the boy with the bread that helps the Everdeens survive. Bread is central. Um, please acknowledge the fact your mom ships Gail and Prim. I mean, is that I read it? I don't. That's stunning information. um, if I had to recast Katniss and Peta, I would want them to be unknown actors. But okay, one person that I would sometimes when I'm reading that I'd imagine was Peta was like back in the day, Evan Peters, like how he was as Tate Langdon in American Horror Story. Um, he had like kind of the curly hair. I feel like he had the right vibe. I feel like he would like I know Evan Peters plays evil characters a lot, but he can also play a sweet character. He's a very good actor. But he is my PETA sometimes when I'm reading the books. I don't know. When I read the books, the characters' faces are kind of like blurry. um, what do I think the Tracker Jacker Venom morphed PETA's good memories of Katniss into? I mean, it just morphed it into her being dangerous. So probably her hurting people and him and attacking people. Uh, yeah. What's something from the Hunger Games series we wish Suzanne touched more on? Curious on new norms and traditions of the capital. Yeah, the traditional practices are interesting and we get a taste of them. It just seems like most of them have been destroyed, like actively discouraged because people, the capital didn't really want anyone to have religion. They didn't want people to have room to think about anything beyond like working. Um, but yeah, I it would have been cool. I feel like in Sunrise there could have been something a little more about like how religion was destroyed. I feel like Plutarch could have had a conversation about that. Maybe he alluded to it in some way. That would be cool. Um, Thoughts on Rachel Ziegler's Lucy Gray? Yeah, I thought she was great. I think she sang the songs really well. I love the songs in Ballad. I feel like they did a really great job making those. And she's a great singer. I know it's hard. I feel like, yeah, she was well cast. I didn't feel super attached to Lucy Gray at the time, so I was pretty open to who would portray her. I just wanted to make sure that they could sing well, and she she can do that. Um, Ooh, how cool would it be in Sunrise if Astrid was wearing Katniss's reaping dress from the first movie? Ooh, I think that would be really cool. That'd be a really nice touch. It'd be easy too. I feel like also because people were supposed to, be able to keep their clothes for a long time, especially like a nice dress like that. It wasn't something you'd normally wear. I could totally see her wearing that. They still haven't cast them. We need our casting announcements for Burdock and Astrid. Um, do I have a favorite outfit from Katniss's victory tour? I mean, in the movie, I hate the outfits they put Katniss in for the victory tour. Um, very different from what they were supposed to be in the books. They were all supposed to be kind of these like dresses and very cutesy and feminine and whatever. They were trying to make her look like a little girl. So it's like I don't know what those look like, but I do not like any of the things she wore on the Royal Victory Tour. I also really don't like the look of the outfit she wore to the Capitol party. The like red dress. I don't know. I don't love I loved the costuming in Ballad, and I feel like in the regular series the costuming was a little iffy in terms of like the Capitol fashion. It just like wasn't really what I was imagining, but it doesn't really matter. Um what sorry, looking at comments. What do I think of the switch of who gave Katniss the pin? I mean, I think overall, like to be honest, as much as like I love this real story of the pin from the book, it's not essential to telling the story of the Hunger Games. So I understand why they changed it. They didn't want to add in another character who we're going to see very shortly, and so they just sort of made it like Katniss found this pin. So it's fine, but I think it was kind of dumb for them to make it like it's good luck, and then like it's obviously not good luck because then Prim gets picked, and then she gives it to Katniss to protect her, and it's like, well, obviously it's not a lucky pin, so I don't get that reasoning behind it. So I feel like it was kind of half baked. Um, do I think Katniss and Gale could ever be a thing? So I think if Katniss never went into the games, and neither did Prim and all that, and she went life as usual, I think her and Gale would have dated and then broken up. I think they would fight all the time. Katniss would not be the type of partner Gale wanted. Gale would not be the type of partner Katniss wanted. I feel like it would just be something that they tried to make work, and it just doesn't work ultimately because I don't think they are right for each other in that way. So I think they date and then break up, and Gale would remarry, and Katniss would maybe just be alone if like PETA wasn't a thing. Um, what's a great story you had when one day reading or rereading any of the Hunger Games book? You had a school evacuation while reading Catching Fire. Irony. Ooh, yeah, that is a fun twist. I mean, I've read and reread them a lot, so they're kind of blurring together. The thing that stands out the most to me is when I was reading Ballad for the first time, it was like right at the beginning of COVID lockdown. So it would just like, it felt really strange. Like, everything was strange, but then I was not expecting a new Hunger Games book. Like, it was off my radar. And then all of a sudden, Ballad was there, and I was like, I guess I'll read this. And it was just like, so I was like, it's a prequel, it's snow. Like, I was just really not ready for it. It caught me off guard. And I feel like I didn't, the first time I read it, I was really distracted. Because it was such a weird time. But then when I reread it, I feel like I could really get into it. But yeah, just that first time, it was like everything felt so confusing and nuts and like unreal. And then all of a sudden, this book that like series of my like being a teenager all of a sudden was like popped back up for 10ish years. So it felt pretty weird. The volume is low. Is it low for everyone? I can adjust it. Does this change anything? Um, how do you feel reading Songbirds and Snakes? Because you're able to think critically about his thoughts and actions, but I know some don't like it as much. I feel like Songbirds and Snakes, yeah, like the first time I read it, I was I was not really with it. But rereading it, I like it more as I've reread it. I feel like it just like had to like wrap my mind around like accepting that this is not a Katniss story. um, but I mean, yeah, I feel like I can think critically about it. It's interesting all the added world building it gave us. And it's cool to think about, like, that first initial read, I was like, yeah, Sejanus is annoying. Lucy Gray is kind of annoying. And it's like, but then you're like, oh, yeah, you're reading it through Snow's lens and he doesn't like them. So you have to be very aware of, like, what are these characters actually doing and what are just the judgments of Corio on top of him. Um, what if Katniss. I'm not understanding the question. Sorry. Am I emotionally ready for the Sunrise and the Reaping movie? Obviously not. Is anyone? I don't know how you could be. I don't have a favorite Hunger Games quote. I don't know. There's so many things that I like. I'm not a big like favorites. What's your favorite this thing? I'm not good at those questions. I'm sorry. I don't like track things like that. Does anyone think we'll ever get more info on Coin 13 or the actual Dark Days? I don't know about Coin or 13, but I am curious about the Dark Days, but I just don't know if there'd be a whole book on it, or really like a Dark Days in terms of like the revolution. So like what Panem was like pre-Hunger Games. Because I just don't know if it was all that different. It's just like what we see plus Hunger, like without the Hunger Games. But I don't know, it'd be interesting to see more about like the creation of the government and all that. I don't know if we'd get that though. I feel like I just don't really know like what the point of a story would be to tell that was like Dark Days slash pre Hunger Games, like what that would really add to the story that we don't know. Because I feel like we don't need a whole like this is how the government was formed because we kind of got enough of that in Ballad. Um, Most heartbreaking moment in Sunrise. I mean, impossible to pick, but one that like really gutted me was the uh Maisley's funeral and like how Hamish saw Marilee and like freaked out. That was a really, really painful part. I hope that part's in the movie. I feel like it'll probably get shafted, but I really liked that part. It was just like it felt very real and upsetting. Yeah, Sophie, I see your comment about the Baird and the Bard. Yeah, um, yeah, I definitely feel like that's intentional. It's cool because yeah, Baird is close to Bird and Bard. So yeah, I think that's definitely part of her character name. Do I think Sunrise is going to be split into two parts? No, I mean, they would have announced if they were doing a two-part movie already, I'm pretty sure. So I don't think so. And I don't feel like there's a good split to do that either. Um, yeah, I, it's not going to be split up unless they make a decision now, but don't think that's the plan. I don't know what the next book would be, or if there is for sure another book. I'm trying to think like what is an important story to tell to add to what we know or to add new context to things. Um, I don't know. My dream book is a collection of um, kind of short stories and novellas of a bunch of different characters. So we get POV of like what's it like as a career, what it was like for someone at year 20 of the Hunger Games, like just all these different people that we get to see a lens into, like an AVOX in the Capitol, someone from a different district. But just get kind of like to see Panem through the eyes of a bunch of different characters, I think would be an amazing book. There was kind of a similar book to that in the Scythe series. The fourth book they did was a bunch of different stories like that, and I thought it was so good. Love a Hunger Games equivalent. What was the reasoning behind part two and Mockingjay? Just money. It was just kind of a Hollywood trend to make the last movie in a series franchise into two parts. Like that's what they did with Harry Potter and Twilight. They had the money to do it for Mockingjay. So, um, yeah, I don't really feel like the two-part movie thing is really most that it does anything good. I feel like Wicked has was really good. I feel like Wicked is the exception to the. I mean, we haven't even seen the second part of Wicked, but I think it's going to be good. But I feel like overall it's just not that good. Like if you need to do a two-part movie, you should just do a limited series. I think the whole Hunger Games series should be a limited TV series. I think that's the best way to tell it, but we're locked into these movies until maybe in a decade they'll redo something. Um is the bread real or plastic? What do you guys think? Let's take a vote. What do you think the bread is made of? Net questions. Um I feel like we're never getting a coin book. Yeah, I mean, I don't really just in terms of the books, it's like what do we need to know about that character? I don't think we need a book about how 13 came to be in coin. I don't feel like there's added context to it that is important. Foam, plastic, real or not real. Um, I'll tell you guys, it is foam. It's like fake. It's like display bread. It is foam. And I have a few different ones. One time I used real bread in a video. You can try to spot it, but usually I'm using foam bread. Um, hello from Brazil. What do I think? Comments that we fans are capital citizens waiting for a new Hunger Games. I mean, I just don't think that is like I get what people are trying to say with it because like oh we're excited about this, but we're not like the capital because we're not excited to watch real children be murdered. So that makes us not the capital. Like it's yes, we're watching entertainment, but it's like it's actual pretend entertainment. If we were actually excited to watch a real reality show that had children kill each other, then yeah, you're like the capital, but that's not what's happening. So we're not. We're just people who are, you know, engaging with art. Yeah, we're not rooting for murder. Um, did I audition for the fan casting? No. I mean, I just like I get, it's a whole gimmick they want to do. I didn't really. I mean, I feel like it's like playing the lottery. It felt kind of pointless to me, and I've yeah, I don't know if I would be able to do that because I'm technically in the actors union, and I don't think that they would be wanting a union actor for that. So I don't think I would have been picked. I would have been eligible. Um, have I ever considered writing a book? Um, yeah, I haven't really written much fiction. I've written nonfiction stuff. I part of like a writing group for many years. That's kind of that's like writing personal essays. Um, And so I have a bunch of personal essays, like just real things. And I really like writing those. I probably have enough to make a book if I wanted to. But yeah, writing fiction would be really cool. I just haven't done it much, but I am a lifelong reader. So I feel like maybe someday, if I had the inspiration, I'd go for it. But yeah. Um, you're writing a post-war fanfic. Nice. Yeah, it is the like post-war and what happens fan fictions. I mean, there's just like so many ways you can go. Like aside from like whatever the outside of Peeta and Katniss getting together, the rest of it's a mystery. Um, we need a book from Capital point of view, mainly Effie. I mean, we did technically get a Capital point of view. We got Snow, but like a stylist point of view could be cool, like Tigress. I just don't think that would happen though. Do I think our society mirrors capital fashion like at the Met Gala? I mean, overall, it's just the capital is about like, yeah, capitalistic society, which we live in. Like it's a classist capitalist world. So yeah, like our life is, it does mirror the capital in many ways. Like that's just kind of, it's how, yeah, like it's not, I feel it's not like a secret. There's plenty of excess. There's plenty of people who are super rich and people who are not. Like we live in that. There's the 1% and everything. Um, we live in dystopian age. um, Rather get a Plutarch book than an Effie book. Yeah, I just don't think an Effie book. I don't know that there would be anything new, a new story to tell. For Effie, Plutarch, there could be something just in terms of like how the revolution was structured, but I just don't know if there's really a meaningful story to tell through Plutarch's point of view that would tell us something we don't know about the world. Um, um, why do I think Peeta's warning to District 13 was broadcast when we know lives have a delay? Yeah, I mean, I've wondered this. This has been a criticism of mine from like years ago. I think I have a really old TikTok about it. But yeah, I mean, it is weird that there wasn't a delay with Peeta. Maybe there was a 5 second delay, not a 30 second. I think how we can actually explain it though is because when they were having when Peeta made the warning about District 13 is when they were having that whole battle of the propos back and forth. Like the rebels were putting their own things on TV and the Capitol was trying to block them out. So I feel like because of this back and forth that was happening, there could not be a delay. There was not a delay. It wasn't possible in terms of them trying to get control of the airwaves. Um, so I think that's what happened. Do I think Katniss got another cat if Buttercup died? I don't know. I think, yeah, I don't know. That's like, it's so, I feel like we're dealing with a whole different set of circumstances and a different Katniss. I don't think she'd be against it, but I don't know. It's like I don't know what Katniss would be like post games, how she would be with the pet or whatever. Would a book about Phoenix after games be too dark to go into full detail for a book? I mean, I don't think they could give details about Phoenix selling situation because it's a young adult series. So I just don't think that's possible. They would, it would be like very, I don't know. Also, like, I don't know. I don't think we need a, I don't know. I don't want to read a book about child trafficking. um, be, be pretty upsetting. Um, did I paint the photos behind me? No, I did not. But my aunt painted this one, the black one. And this one, I don't know. I think that's a print. Um, we got told Beatty's wife was pregnant at the end of Sunrise, but we get no mention of his family in Katniss's time. Yeah, I assume they were killed. I mean, Beatty Beatty got up to some rebel behavior, so I feel like his family got killed. Um, just straight up. Um, how did Buttercup survive? I mean, he's a wild animal. If there were bombs happening or he heard the hovercrafts coming, he could have just bolted into the woods and he hid there. And he got to 13 and then he came back. Like, I mean, he can hunt, he can eat wild animals. He knows he was a born mouser, as Katniss said. So I think he just hunted. Um, um, how old was I when I first read The Hunger Games? I always forget. I think I was either in eighth grade or a freshman in high school, so like 13 or 14. Let me check when The Hunger Games came out. The first book came out in 2008, September. So I was in eighth grade. Yeah, I think I read it like end of eighth grade. I didn't read it right when it came out, but I know I read it before Catching Fire had been released because I remember finishing The Hunger Games and crashing out about like the PETA. Like it was all for the games. I remember like I stayed up late reading it. It was like in my room and I finished that part and I was like my heart was racing. I was panicking. I was so upset and was worried about him. And I had to wait for Catching Fire to come out to know what was happening to my man. Um, why do I think the goat was not in the movie? It's just not essential to telling the story. I feel like it didn't move the plot forward to have the story about Prim's goat, so it's cut. Um, kind of want the 25th games as the next book. I guess I'm trying to think what I feel like when we're thinking, don't think about like when we're thinking of another book to be written, it's not so much like whose character's story do we want to learn more about. It's more what is the story to tell. Because Suzanne's not just going to be like, and here's FYI what happened to Joanna. I feel like she's not that kind of writer. There's purpose behind these prequels, so it's like we we learned in Sunrise the revolution is a long time in the making. We learned from Ballad that the games evolved heavily over the years to become more of an entertainment spectacle. So it's like what else, what is the story we need to know about this world, um, or what would add value to it, and the 25th games, I guess we don't really know anything about it. It's just it's the first quarter quell and people voted for who to go in there. um, and I'm just wondering what it is that would reveal more things that would add to the world in that story. I don't know. I have to, have to think on it. Um, do I think Gale ever got over Katniss? Yeah, I think he moved on, and found someone else. I mean, he had to. He moved away. And I don't feel like he was so, I don't know, like head over heels in love with her. I feel like it was more like an arranged marriage. Like he just assumed they would have been together because they were friends and grew up that way. And that's kind of how life was in District 12. But now it's a whole new world and he lives somewhere else. So I feel like he found someone much better suited to him. You would love a book from Cinna's POV. Yeah. Yeah, I know there's a lot of theories like, is Cinna actually from the districts or the capital? But I mean, he does have a capital accent. It's just not as intense. Um, so I don't know. I feel like maybe I mean, if he's not just fully from the capital, maybe he was born in a different district and moved in, like Sejanus type. Um, But I mean, we just know there's this whole kind of underground rebel network that Plutarch was part of in Cinna. So yeah, it'd be interesting. I don't know if there's something more of a story to tell in this underground network, um, like how they coordinated the Quarter Quell plan, even. Um, what would my strategy be if I was raped into the games? I would try to die immediately. I would be like, no. I know I would not be able to win that. I don't know how to fight anything. I'd be scared to death. I would just want to go out quick. So I'm I'm not built for that. Where did the goat go? Because I don't think it was in the Catching Fire book. Pretty sure they still had the goat in Catching Fire, and then it just died in the fire. I know, just like the goat wasn't a big thing. Like it made goat cheese and butter, but then by Catching Fire, they didn't even need it because they could buy plenty of food. They didn't need to make any money anymore. Name the bread? What do you mean? It's Peta's bread. It's the bread baked by Peta. Um, Another perspective in another district. I think the perspective of a career tribute would be very interesting, or just how the career system worked. I think that's something that could add to the story and how that was created. This type of like, I don't know, the honor people had around it or the pressure. I don't know. The careers are very interesting. I feel like there's more to explore there. Um, Like that's where I could see maybe a Finnick thing being made. And we also know like, okay, if she wrote about Finnick, it's not going to be so much about afterwards because I just don't think she can, but it could be about like how he was bred to be a career and love the games and want all this glory, and then kind of realizing that he's been brainwashed and that it's not this great thing to be a victor and fight in the games. So like the disillusionment of a career tribute. There's no such thing as Team Gale or Team PETA. I don't know. The team thing is just like a Twilight created phenomenon. In the books, I mean, it's just, yeah, whatever. Um, oh yeah, they do mention the goat in Catching Fire. Good point, Mandrake. Yeah, she said that she was trying to get the goat knocked up. So yeah, they had the goat. Um, yeah, questions. Looking. Do I think Suzanne would make another Hunger Games book with Katniss and Peeta? I don't know. I just feel like, okay, then if it's about Katniss and Peeta and you're saying after the war, I'm just like, what is the story to tell? Unless it's like the only story to tell would be something really bad happening, maybe. I don't know. It's like, okay, they're making the new government. I don't know. I don't think there would be a real Suzanne would find purpose in writing a story about them. It's like as much as we would want to just kind of know they're happily ever after. That's not really like a book built into it. So bad things would need to be happen, and it like I don't want to be like, oh no, someone's trying to make the Hunger Games again. I feel like that would be trite and kind of ruin everything, and I don't think Suzanne would do that. Um, how long's the live stream gonna go for? I feel like probably for 20 more minutes. Probably do an hour here. I'm losing my voice. Um, do I get caught off guard reading Sunrise and the Reaping with Hamish's family with food compared to Katniss? I don't know if I was caught off guard. It was just interesting to see how the scene and just District 12 had changed. Obviously, it's like the conditions have gotten worse. Something that really was interesting that she added in Sunrise was about script, like how she said that was written that the miners are paid in script, which is not the same as regular money, and they're technically only allowed to use script at a capital store, which does not seem to exist during Katniss's time. So, it's really bad situation. You're paying people with money they can only give directly, technically only give directly to the capital to buy whatever the capital is selling to them versus the local business owners. But we know the local business owners most accepted script. But it's just interesting that was something that was a thing at some point and then appears to have been phased out because Katniss never mentions it. There's just regular money and no capital stores. There's just rations. Um, yeah, it's a miners town thing. Yeah, I mean, I understand the script. It's like a real concept thing. It's just, I don't know, it was sprinkled in here and like this was a thing around the 50th games and then it wasn't. So it's just kind of showing maybe like the capital sort of testing out different forms of, um, the way they're governing their people, just kind of playing around with it. Um, why do you think Coin wanted to pick Peeta up from the arena instead of Katniss? I think Coin was just threatened by Katniss. I mean, she knew Katniss was pretty much the star of the rebellion, and people were so compelled by her, which made her dangerous. It made her a threat to Coin. She didn't want anyone more powerful than her to be in the mix. And I think she also really underestimated how smart Peeta was. I feel like Peeta would not have been a good Mockingjay either. He wouldn't just go along with whatever Coin said, but she more just saw that Katniss would be a more difficult person. She thought Katniss would be a more difficult person to manage and that she was more well liked, which then she saw, I can't control this girl who everyone loves, so that's threatening. And obviously she tried to get rid of Katniss as soon as she could. Um, there's a tribute named Woof who was in the third quarter quell who was probably a body double like Lulu. What you talking about? I think you're citing fan fiction. Who is Woof? Um, script was used in the West Virginia mines where 12's located. Yeah. Am I still grieving any characters from the Hunger Games? I don't know if I would say I grieve any. It's just, I don't know. More just like the characters in the story have a place in my heart. Look it up. Hey, I'm looking up Woof. Like, where are you? There's no one called Woof in Catching Fire. I'm gonna search in the first 4 Hunger Games books on Kindle. I'm gonna keyword search the word woof for you. I know you can't see my screen, but if I type woof as a keyword search, okay, there is a person named Woof. Okay, but that doesn't make him Lulu. What do you mean? Sorry for questioning you. Okay. Oh yeah, so he was. Okay, I'm reading. After lunch, I do the edible insect station with District 8 tribute Cecilia, who's got 3 kids at home, and Woof, a really old guy who's hard of hearing and doesn't seem to know what's going on since he keeps trying to stuff poisonous bugs in his mouth. Oh, so you're saying maybe he's Lulu because he's like kind of out of it? I don't know. Could also just be someone who's like has dementia. It doesn't. Yeah, he's in there. District 8, he's in the water. And it looks like Woof. Yeah, I don't know. There's not a ton about Woof. It's a funny name. They're asking what you think about the speculation that Woof was a body double too. I mean, yeah, I guess because if you're just saying because he was out of it and acting strangely. I mean, I think that's fine. I mean, I don't. I guess that's fair. I mean, I think it's a fine idea to have. I just don't. For me, I'm not super invested because it doesn't impact the story in my head. And also, I see, okay, there was a really old person um, who grew up in a place where there's not really health care, and he went through a bunch of trauma and he's acting strangely. Like, it doesn't seem, I don't immediately jump to that means he's a cloned person. I also don't know why they would need to clone or have a body double person. Um, yeah, I don't know. I guess I just think it's fine. Yeah, it's fine theory to have. To me, in my head, I just read it as he's someone who has like dementia or some sort of, you know, issues. Maybe he was also did drugs and stuff, and he has brain damage. Um, do I hate Gail? No, I don't hate Gail. When you write in all caps like this, I feel like you're screaming at me, and it scares me. Please don't do that. Do I prefer the way Suzanne described the Capitol with bright, colorful buildings or the movie adaptation? I like the bright, colorful buildings. I understand why they made it, you know, more gray to be just kind of clear, like imperialistic. Um, but I think the colorful Capitol would be cool. It kind of feels a little like Emerald City, you know? Um, whose fault was Prim's death, in my opinion? Um, ultimately, I blame Coin. Seems like Coin had a hand in allowing Prim, who was not eligible to be on the field, she wasn't 14 yet, to be fighting in the Capitol. And ultimately, Coin got to make the call to drop those bombs. So it's like, yes, Gale, I made a bad, you know, made a very harsh tactic. He did not plan to, you know, he did to use it on Prim. He wasn't part of making the call, but he helped devise it. But he's, you know, like it's ultimately Coin is to blame. Fact that 14 years old was the legal age is insane. I mean, I think it's, you know, there wasn't a lot of people there. So they couldn't, like 13, you know, we knew they had a struggle. Their population was struggling. They'd had like a big pox epidemic that wiped out a lot of people. Um, so they needed, you know, as people, if they thought they were capable enough to follow orders and do things and they thought 14-year-olds could do that, that's what they did because they couldn't, they wouldn't have a big enough, um, you know, soldier base if they only had 18-year-olds, I'm guessing. Um, any personal theories or opinions about the Capitol and life there that aren't in the book? Um, I don't know. I mean, off the top of my head, I know I don't have like a lot of like theories that are kind of that diverge from the book that much. Um, I like to, you know, I feel like I'm a kind of logical thinker. Am I crying? No. You know the arrow that shot Coin? It should have split into two pieces and shot. Okay. I don't like what you're saying. Okay. What's my opinion on Annie's downfall into mental illness? I mean, I think it's pretty understandable. It seems that a lot of victors suffer from mental illness after what they went through. So I don't know. To me, it's just like, yeah, that makes sense. Someone is traumatized and then they have severe mental health issues. Makes perfect sense to me. Um, yeah. Okay, guys. I think I'm gonna wrap things up because I'm getting sleepy. Thanks so much for hanging out. I'm working on another video, close to editing it, trying to get it done by tomorrow, but it might go up Friday. stay tuned for that. Also, I have a Patreon now, by the way, if you're curious. The link's in my description. I was live on the Patreon earlier today, and it's a lot smaller group, so we can have kind of more, you can have more, bigger discussions, and I'll talk a bit more in depth about things because there's less people. And also on the Patreon, you can download the videos as like podcasts on Spotify and Apple Music, so you can listen to videos. And I'm going to be having like a full movie watch breakdown thing on the Patreon soon. So that should be really fun. Yeah. Patreon, if you're interested in the Patreon, the link's in my bio. But yeah, thanks so much for hanging out. Oh, Curse of Midnight video, shout out. Thank you. May the odds be ever in your favor. All right, everyone. Good night and happy Thursday. Tomorrow will be Thursday. It's still Wednesday for me. All right, bye. Overwhelming.